we're back here again with a new chapter that we want to be talking about. Like we say, we're going to have every Wednesday, we're going to have different people coming to this office, the Ford Driver Association, to talk about different issues that we've been facing for over the years. One of the major problems that we've been facing over the years is the famous workers' compensation. What is legal? What is no legal? What can we do? This is the questions that we've been asking ourselves. Every time I see a driver, the first question that comes out is my company taking workers' compensation? Yes. Is that legal? Yes. It's legal to take it out of my gross. It's legal to take it. How much do they have to take? Why are they taking 4%? Why are they taking 9%? So the things that we want to do tonight is to try to answer some of those questions. And just to clarify, we're going to be doing it in English first, and then we're going to be talking in Spanish. So para las personas que están hablando español o que no entienden mucho el inglés, vamos a estar hablando de workers' compensation, pero lo vamos a hacer primero en inglés y vamos a tener un segmento completamente en español para que ustedes puedan entender lo que está sucediendo. So, por favor, I want everybody to be patient, just in Spanish and English. I know you guys last week were saying, please say it in English, please say it in Spanish. We're going to have both ways. So, before we start, I want to introduce to one of my friends for a couple years now, who's also a second generation of truck drivers, who's truck driver himself, been in the industry for more than 20 years. His name is Henry Paredes, who's here to represent one of the companies that is in workers' compensation business, truck insurance, and different insurances that have to be related with the transportation. So before we continue, I want to let Henry introduce yourself. How you doing, Henry? How you been?
Good, Edison. Good to be here. Pleasure to have me here. I know you've been trying to get me here for like the last 3 weeks, and we just couldn't get together.
Last week was amazing. You know, I was ready to go. I was really excited, and I got sick. You know, things happen, and like I say, you know, things happen for a reason. But I'm glad that this happened tonight. We're here. Our goal is to educate drivers to understand how the industry works.
That's right.
And I just want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. All right. My name's Henry Paredes, as Edison just mentioned. I do have a large, significant background in the transportation industry myself, hands-on. Like you mentioned, I'm second generation, so I know the ins and outs, so to speak, right? I'm now a licensed insurance producer in the state of New Jersey. I work with Navicent Services. We're an insurance provider, conveniently located in Newark, New Jersey. And today's podcast, we're going to touch topics concerning workers' compensation, occupational accident coverage, and how they relate to the trucking industry. In addition, we're also going to touch some items or topics from the Department of Labor and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
Okay, so this is why we're doing this right now. I want to explain something to you guys. The state of New Jersey has created a new task force. This is going to be targeting all corporations that are using 1099s with their employees. They want to make sure that the person that is getting a 1099, okay, is in reality a person that deserves to have that has a corporation, or if they are an employee, they're going to be targeting companies that are classifying those people wrongly, right?
Correctly, right. Yeah, we'll touch that misclassification in a different section.
We're gonna have something. So before we go there, okay, the idea of this is me and him, we've been fighting how we're gonna start doing this. So the best thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna divide this segment in 3 parts. Today is gonna be part number 1. And the part number 1 is gonna be about how the situation with workers' compensation works. What's an occupational accidental insurance? Are they the same? Are they different? Is that legal in the state of New Jersey? Is that illegal in the state of New Jersey? So those are the things that we're going to be talking about. So with that saying, we're going to start with what is a workers' compensation policy?
Right. So on a daily basis, that's one of the primary questions that I get once one of you drivers come into the office is what's workers' compensation? You know, I'm going to work for a motor carrier. He's looking for my proof of coverage, and I don't even know what it is. So basically, workers' comp is a policy that has three parts to it. It protects both employees, subcontractors, and employer as well for medical, disability, and employer's liability. Um, Medical services would be paid, disability for lost wages. If you're temporary disability or permanent disability, you would have loss of wages, benefits provided to you. And employer's liability, it protects the employer in the sense that if there is a work-related injury, he would be liable and would face litigation and civil suit at that point.
And we have some papers right here. And right away, we're going to be having free seminars, okay? For anybody that's interested and want to have more details about this, we're going to have a free seminar. All you have to do is come, become a member, register for the free seminars, and we'll let you know when it's going to be. Coming back to the topic, okay? A lot of people want to know, how do they pay these rates? How do the state rate this?
Right, so how is the premium for workers' compensation policies determined, right? How is that determined? It's based on estimated payrolls, okay, job description, okay, and loss experience. Those are the three variables that play a factor in determining the premium for a policy, the workers' compensation policy.
So job description, we're a truck driver, right?
Right, we would be considered truckmen, and there's a class code assigned to every different job description. So for our industry, in the trucking and transportation industry, a truckman is class code is 7219.
So technically it works like a car insurance, right? It's basically the same thing because it's basing everything in the payroll. We know the payroll. The job description is a truck driver, so you have a lot of extra risk. And loss experience, meaning how many people have injury in the shop, right?
Right. Well, it's an employer's liability policy. Okay. Like I said, it protects the employer for any litigation in the event of a work loss, right? A loss, an accident at the job. Basically, it's the job description for truckman 7219 is rated at, the state determines the regulatory department rating bureau determines the rate per class code, and every insurance carrier that's admitted to write workers' compensation must report the premium and losses per class code. Okay?
So technically, if they have somebody that have an accident, they have to like.
It's not really like car insurance because you're
I'm not talking about the car
protecting the
insurance.
individual. It's not protecting the equipment.
Exactly, we're talking
You
about
understand?
people.
So-
Yeah, no, I just want to clarify so people understand how it works.
Well,
how's the difference? You know?
All right. Well, the estimated payroll, so to speak, would be, like I said, the premiums based on your earnings. Okay, that's what they mean by estimated payroll. Okay, job description, class code. Every different job description has a class code assigned to it, and then there's a rate assigned to that class code. Okay, and loss experience, depending how many losses you've had, will determine your mod, and if your mod is high, then your insurance rate will rise. Now, if you have a low mod, if it drops, then your insurance rate will drop as well.
Yeah, let me ask a question because this is the part that we have a lot of drivers. When I talk to the drivers, say, "Oh my God, you're working in a company that charge you this percentage for that from the gross. My company only charged me $30, which is what we call occupational loss." Is that the same thing? Is that to the same thing? Workers' compensation, accidental insurance are the same? Can they be related? I mean, do they have the same coverage? I mean, just to give an idea.
Well, the benefits may mirror, both policies may mirror each other in a sense where they provide, medical benefits, disability benefits, and death benefits. But make no mistake, occupational accident is not a replacement for workers' compensation.
Is that legal in New Jersey?
Well, you're allowed to have whatever type of private insurance you would like, but the law requires you to maintain workers' compensation in the state of New Jersey.
Okay, so we're going to go, that's part two we're going to be talking about. I just want to make sure that you understand workers' compensation and accidental insurance, they may sound equal, they may sound like the same, but they are not the same. And we're going to be, as we speak, we're going to continue with the conversation and we're going to start telling you, is that legal in the state of New Jersey? What are they using if it's not legal? So those are the things that we're going to be talking as we continue. And I don't know if we're going to have the ability to reach it in this part, number one, of this workers' compensation conversation. we're going to try to reach to it. Okay, workers' compensation, okay, is important to the workers' compensation and is regulated by the state. That's something we know that.
All right, well,
but who requires this?
Here's the thing, Edison. It's important to note that workers' compensation is regulated on a per state basis. And during this podcast, we're going to be referencing New Jersey for the most part. So if you have any questions in regards to other states, you're welcome to submit any questions you may have. Just kindly include what state you'll be referencing, okay? So we can research that and provide you the answer accordingly.
But who's required to carry workers' compensation again?
Oh, who's required? Okay, well, basically, let's go through the entities, okay? There's different structures how you can structure your company, right?
Okay.
You have sole proprietors, right? Acting as individuals.
Okay.
Right? You have members of a limited liability company, LLCs, right?
Okay.
You have partners of a limited liability partnership, right? LLPs.
Okay.
And you also have officers of a corporation, okay? Those are the different type of entities or structures, company structures that we see, right? That we have. Now, in the state of New Jersey, it states that all sole proprietors, members of an LLC, officers of a corporation, partners of an LLP, must maintain a workers' compensation policy, okay? Or be approved for self-insurance so long as any one or more individuals perform services for that business for prior, current, or future financial consideration, okay? Now, the difference between those is very simple. Sole proprietors, members of an LLC, partners of an LLP are allowed the right to exclude themselves from the benefits of a workman's comp policy, okay?
So let me stop you right there. Let's say we have Mike, who owns one truck. Okay?
Okay.
He's a sole proprietor, but he is the person who's responsible for the company. He owns the company. He can be excluded, right?
Right. If he's acting as a sole proprietor in the state of New Jersey, he must maintain a workers' comp policy, but he does have the right, he is permitted to exclude himself from the benefits of that policy.
But here's the thing that we want to be talking about. The reason that we're talking about this situation is because, like I say at the beginning of the conversation, we have the new task force that's going to be attacking all the companies that are paying 1099s to their employees or to the people they believe that they have to have these 1099s. So if you own 3 trucks, okay, if you have more than 1 truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks, 4 trucks, and you are leased to a company, this is very important for you. This is why we're making this conversation tonight, because we want you to understand something. You may think that because you lease to a company, that you paying, that your drivers are paying to that company, the workers' compensation or accidental insurance, whatever those two they have, you are completely free or exonerated from any wrongdoing. That's wrong. Am I correct?
Well, yes and no. So it's simple, Edison. When you're a subcontractor and you're going to lease on to a motor carrier, right, a general contractor, right, you either provide proof of coverage to the general contractor to show that you have your own workers' comp policy, right, or the general contractor will provide that coverage to you and be entitled to settlement deduct for the additional
Correct.
risk exposure that he's adding to his policy.
Okay.
Okay.
We are correct there. So technically, but what happens when the workers' compensation comes and say, okay, let's say, Mr. Hendrick, you own 3 trucks. Where's the workers' compensation for these 3 trucks?
Okay, so it doesn't work that way either. Okay, just to be clear, workers' compensation is an umbrella policy. Okay, workers' compensation is issued to the entity, okay, to the company, to protect any of those employees or contractors that are providing services to that company, okay? So it's an umbrella policy. And like I said, it's not based on how many individual employees you have. It's based on payroll.
Okay. So let's rephrase the question. I just question it because I want to make sure that you guys, the guys that have 2 trucks, understand this part. If I have 2 trucks,
Okay,
additional to the truck that I drive,
okay,
and I'm leased to company Peter Trucking, just say that they are paying my workers' compensation.
okay.
But the state goes to Peter Trucking, and they say, Mr. Peter, you have workers' compensation. He proved that he has workers' compensation because he's paid. But when they come to ask me, Edison, do you have your own policy for those 2 extra drivers that you have? And I say, no, I use Peter's. Is that legal?
Okay, so like I said, it's an umbrella policy. So if he's on Peter's payroll, Peter is entitled to settlement deduct from his weekly settlement and provide the coverage through his policy.
But correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what we're trying to educate the drivers. Say, for instance, I have, okay, Peter is paying, my company, let's say, is Edison Transport, okay? Peter
Okay.
is paying Edison Transport.
Okay,
Now, Edison Transport is the one that's paying every of his drivers. Is
Okay.
that's what I want to come
Okay,
to.
so-
So that's the problem that I think that they're
all
going to
right.
be facing.
You're speaking about a fleet owner,
Yeah.
model. A person who owns more than 1 truck and has employees driving that equipment.
Yes.
Okay. As I stated before, any company, sole proprietor, acting as a sole proprietor, acting as an LLC, acting as an LLP, or acting as a corporation must maintain workers' compensation in the state of New Jersey or be approved for self-insurance, okay?
So technically, Edison had to, by law, provide workers' compensation for Edison Transport drivers.
Right.
No.
By rights, you have to provide your employees or contractors workers' compensation benefits.
And this is exactly what we're trying to explain to you guys. I mean, the reason of this is happening is because I don't want, I mean, unfortunately for me, I have to deal with the people that have the problems. They come in with the problems over here, and a lot of people don't understand the situation. It's a very dangerous situation that you guys are facing. I'm not talking about the companies. The big companies, they have everything under control. The guys that own only 2, 3 trucks, those are the ones that will have to worry about it. If you have 2 trucks, you have to start worrying about this situation. And this is why we have this conversation. This is why it's so very important to understand how this works, right? Because
Right.
we want to make sure that you understand. So by the time that we do this, we're going to understand how this works. So who's eligible for workers' compensation? I think we already know.
Well, we got to go back to that question because as I was stating, right,
Mhm.
sole proprietors, members of an LLC, and partners of a limited liability partnership
Okay.
are permitted to exclude themselves from that work comp policy. What does that mean? That means you're rejecting any benefits, medical or disability, to be provided to you at that point. Okay.
But that have to be in writing, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. You have to do that when you do the incorporation paper. You have to say that you're excluding yourself from those rights. Am I
Once
correct?
you file that workers' compensation policy, you would have to file an exclusion form, okay, with the state of New Jersey to let them know that you're rejecting those benefits.
Okay.
Now, it's important to note though that any subcontractor or employee that's operating and providing services to that entity must be provided work comp benefits. If you're an employee, they're provided to you at no cost, and if you're a contractor, you will get settlement deducted. The general contractor has the right to settlement deduct for the additional risk on his policy.
Okay, so let's make it straight. So if you own only 1 truck,
Now,
okay,
hold on 1 second. Before we get off that,
okay,
we didn't touch corporations. Okay?
so let's go with corporation.
Okay, I spoke to you about sole proprietors, members, and partners being able to exclude themselves. The great unknown that I see for many owner-operators that get into the business, one man, 1 truck,
Okay,
they go in and they create either a C or an S corp, and they don't know that at that point they are an officer of that corporation, and officers in the state of New Jersey are not permitted to exclude themselves from work comp benefits. Okay, they must include themselves in that policy. Okay.
okay. So technically, anybody that owns 1 truck can exclude himself from having his own workers' compensation. So that means the
Not anyone. I just told you, not officers of a corporation are not permitted to exclude themselves. They must include themselves in a workers' comp policy.
okay, see that? So this is why it's so the reason that we want you to come to our shops to take all these ideas of how this workers' compensation works is because it's so complicated to say that we only have 1 hour, okay? And when we try to educate everybody, everybody's going to come out with different questions like, why are we doing? How do we do this? Why is that legal? Why is this illegal? Who, like you say, is corporations? So now we're talking about different issues. So we're going to try to answer as much as questions we have between us over here right now, but you have to do your homework and you have to start getting involved in your stuff. This is your business. This is how you make a living. And if you don't actually get involved,
right,
the penalties are going to be very expensive. So the idea for you is to really start getting involved by coming to the shops. They are free. It has no excuse to say, I don't want to go there. If they are free, means you don't have to pay. So if they don't have to pay and you don't want it, please don't complain that why am I being cited by the state because I don't have workers' compensation, right?
Well, yeah, we're just lightly touching, workers' comp and stuff like that right now so that you guys get an idea, get a feel for it. And then if you have any questions or any inquiries, you can feel free to contact us, contact Port Driver Association. They'll give you our contact information. And we'll be more than glad to answer any questions you may have.
So let's continue with these things so we can continue so we can finish with the part that we want to show the drivers about. We are in corporations right now, Any owner, operator, structure as C or S corporation may ask themselves, what does this mean? Look at that. This is technicalities. This is paperwork. Look, we didn't come out with these things. We didn't just decide to sit down and start thinking. This is something that took him days to come out with a perfect explanation of how this works. So don't think that we just sit down over here thinking that we know everything. We don't know everything. We have to research and we want to give you the right information. So let's go with that cover. What is a structure as a C or S corporation?
Okay, so like I said prior, any owner operator that's structured as a C or S corp must include themselves in that policy in the name of the entity and the tax ID assigned to that entity. And they must be included. The corporate officer must be included. So they don't have the option to exclude themselves.
So here's the word that we were talking about, right? Being excluded and being exempt is two different words. Remember?
Right. No. Well, you're not exempt. Like I said, you must maintain
exactly
a workers' comp policy in the state of New Jersey. So
the exclusion is different. Who's exempt though? Just to
exempt. Well, I mean,
who can be exempt from workers' compensation?
Well, I would say anybody that's providing services to a federal agency or something like that that's already working for a state and federal agency. They're already collecting coverage through the state.
So remember that you're not exempt. You are excluding yourself when you do the paperwork. You got to make sure you specify that you want to exclude yourself. So these is the things that you need to know. This is the things that are going to give you, are going to get you in trouble. You're going to receive a letter from the state of New Jersey in the next couple of weeks. Okay, I already received mine. So I'm telling you, you corporation, are you having employees? Are you an LLC? Are you exclude yourself from the privilege of having workers' compensation? So these things are already happening, right? You see that happening in your office. You're facing these things with some of the drivers that come in to ask for rescue when they have these problems. Am I correct?
Well, yes, guys come in where they're already,
what is
they may have an incident. They may have an incident where somebody received an injury while working, and now they're requesting to see workers' compensation. And like I said, if you don't have it, at the end of the day, you're on the hook.
But what is that you see so far? The drama that you've been working a couple of years from now in this industry. What do you see that hasn't been something different from previous years that didn't happen before?
The workers' comp is nothing new. It's just that you see now there's a lot more regulation being imposed, so to speak. Now it's being imposed. Not that it's not a new law. The law's always been there. It's just that now, like I said, they're imposing the regulation. So it's best you guys see where you're not properly structuring your companies and you're exposed, where you can, eventually get called for an audit and receive penalties and fines.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because over here you have something where you say all workers' compensation policies are audible. What does it mean? I mean, I just want to show you for you to explain to me that real quick.
Okay,
So,
well, before we get into that, you got to understand, like I said, it's estimated on your payroll. So
we got that. We passed that.
you're paying according to what you make. So the more you make, the more you're going to pay. Now, they're not going to base it on 100% of your earnings. If you're a subcontractor and you're an independent owner-operator, they know that you have operating costs. They know that you have living costs, expenses, right? So they know 100% of your earnings are not going to go into your pocket. So they'll have the 1/3 rule. 33% of your earnings will be considered your payroll, and that will be taxed at the state rate. And that's how they will determine your premium, your annual premium. Now, during that policy term, the insurance carrier is entitled to conduct an audit. Every work comp policy must be audited so that they can make sure that you're classifying your employees correctly and that they're being rated correctly, and to see exactly where your payroll came in at so that they're charging your premium correctly or rating it correctly.
Well, based on that conversation, I know you guys out there, you asking me all the time, is that legal that they charge me 7, 8, 9, whatever percentage they charge you? How do they rate that? How do they come out with this number? Is that legal?
It's, like I said, that they're entitled. They're providing you the coverage. If you're not providing the general contractor proof of your own coverage, then they're entitled to settlement deduction. Now, in the state of New Jersey, the state rate for truckmen is $18.77 per hundred. Okay.
So $18.77, $18.77 for every $100 that you make.
Right. Now, there is a state minimal that you have to initiate the policy, and I think the bare minimum in New Jersey is $33,280, and there also is a cap off at maximum. I'm not quite sure what that number is. I can verify that information at a later time.
But here's the situation. Whether the driver can see if this is legal at the time that they sign the agreement, the lease agreement, how do they?
Right. So you should refer to your lease agreement, the contract that you have with your general contractor,
before you sign it.
Well, you should read it and review it before you sign any contract, right?
I wish that's what we've been trying to tell everybody,
Before you sign anything, right?
That's the idea. I mean, I don't want to be. I mean, the problem that we have in this industry is that we don't sign, we don't read anything. Matter of fact, I see. I bring everybody over here when they come in. They tell me I have a problem. The first thing I ask is, "Where's the lease agreement?" I say, "I don't know. I never have one." They never give me a copy. Right. So technically, they don't know what to sign. So technically, so if you are listening to this, you want to know what is the rate that you're going to pay, if it's legal or not. Remember one thing, it's in your lease agreement. It has to be by law in your lease agreement. So if you want to know how much they're going to charge you before you even work for those guys, make sure you read your lease agreement, right? Am I correct? The lease agreement is what's going to tell you a lot of things about why you're getting into it.
Right.
So if you don't know how to read the lease agreement, guess what? We have another free shop to show you how to read your lease agreement. How you like that?
Good, that's good. The lease agreement should set forth anything the MC is going to deduct from you, the general contractor, right? So it should state it in the lease agreement. That's why it's very important to read before you sign any contract. So going back to the whole rating and stuff of how much percentage should they be allowed to deduct, I stated that in New Jersey, the rate is $18.77 per hundred. And I also stated that it's based on 1/3 of your gross earnings. So simply put, if you have, let's say, for instance, a $3,000 settlement this week, right? You made $3,000 gross this week, right? For instance. Then you would divide that or multiply that by 33%, right? Give you about $1,000, 1/3, right? 1/3 you would divide by 100, right? Because it's per 100, and then multiply that by the $18.77. Okay.
Okay. So you see, guys, is if you make $3,000, You multiply that by 33, okay, percent, whatever comes out of this, and this amount, 3,000 multiplied by 33, give you almost $1,000.
Right. So you divide 1,000 by
100.
by 100,
And then you divide by 100.
which gives you 10, right?
Which give you 10.
Right. And then the rate is $18.77. You would multiply the 10
Plus the $18.
multiplied by the $18.77, which would give you approximately
$187.70.
and
And there you go.
And that would be more or less what the magic number would be for that week for workers' comp.
Okay, let's say that. Remember the guys that you want to know how do they come out with $187? Look at this. We're giving you the formula. Okay, you have to multiply whatever your gross or your paycheck is that week times 33%. Remember that 33. That's a lucky number. 33%. Then you divide it. Whatever comes out, you divide it by 100, right?
By 100, right.
Then you divide it by 100. Whatever that amount comes out, you multiply it by 18.77. And that's how you come out with your workers' compensation.
Right.
How you like that? Now you're learning how to get, you see, you don't have to go to school. You can come over here to Post Driver Association to learn that. And you're learning it through Facebook. Imagine that. This is why we want to do these classes over here, because we know we can't feed over here 10,000 people. A lot of people say, well, you know, nobody want to come in. Yes, we know that you're busy. You live in Pennsylvania, you live in New Jersey, you live in Connecticut, and understand the situation that you may have, that you're working too late, you're working Saturdays, and you're tired, and Sunday you want to spend some time with your family. But this is very important for you. This is how you're going to make a living for the rest of your life. This is how you're going to support your family. Understanding these basic rules is something very important. I know that we have a question. I want to buy a truck. You can buy a truck. I suggest you to buy a truck. I personally believe that everybody should buy a truck. But before you buy a truck, you have to have some knowledge of how to do it the proper way. You know, you don't put your shoes and then you put your sacks and then you put your clothes. You do, you have to, it's a proper way to do it. As a matter of fact, it's something funny about this. You notice there's right now in Facebook, everybody's talking about how to open the can properly. You know, for years, everybody's opening sideways. The proper way is to go and tap. But you know what? It worked. So nobody cared. The idea was to open the can. That doesn't mean that because you opened the can, you were doing it properly. The same thing happened with this, right? If you're doing it and it's working, doesn't mean that you're doing it properly. And you have to be aware of that. Because right now, the penalties that you're going to be paying, the penalties that you're going to be facing, especially for those drivers. I'm talking about independent drivers that have more than one truck. So if you have 2 trucks, you have a problem. If you have 3 trucks, you have a problem. If you have 5 trucks, you definitely have a problem. So we want you to come over here. You want you to come in. We want you to sit down with Henry. We want you to sit down with me. We have these free seminars for you to understand how this works properly. Look, we already find out how these people come out with these deductions. Remember, gross divided by 33 or multiplied by 33%, divided by 100, and whatever that comes, multiplied by 1877. Why 1877, Henry? Just to remind these guys, why 1877?
That's the state rate.
State rate. So
Okay.
they didn't come out with nobody else. This is the state rate. So this is how you properly get this thing.
Let me go back and just let you guys know exactly who determines the rate, okay? And if you're asking why I have these papers in front of me, is because there's a lot of information. I wanted to make sure I covered everything. So if you notice, I'm checking stuff off. It's just as I go along, I'm marking down the information I provide to you. And again, if you have any questions, you can always contact us, and we'll be more than happy to provide any answers to your questions and concerns. Excuse me.
Okay. No, and this is why we want to do that. So just remind the guys who actually does that.
Right. So it's the state regulatory department, the rating bureau, who determines what the rate per class code is. Okay. Every insurance carrier that is admitted to write workers' compensation must report all premium and losses per class code. Okay. Now, provide that to the rating bureau, and the rating bureau will then calculate that information that the carriers provide to them and determine what the rate is per class code. Okay, and that's how it goes. So if many of you ask, why does the work comp rate keep rising? And it's basically is because the losses are greater than the premium that's collected. Okay.
So me and him, we were talking about before. So this is why I have already some knowledge. So I'm just trying to give you some basic knowledge without have to go through every paper. But this is something that a lot of people don't understand. Unfortunately, we independent drivers believe that having our own workers' compensation is a very expensive thing to do. And based on our conversation with Henry, for the first 3 years, yes, it is. But after the third year that you have your own workers' compensation, your policy, if you don't have no injuries, you don't have no accidents, and you have no claims, just like your car insurance, will go down. So you don't have to carry in a company. The thing that you face is the company has more than one employee or more than one independent driver. So what happens is they may go and have accidents, and the insurance will raise, and you will be paying for those extra rates. Am I correct about that?
Okay, so he's speaking about the mod, okay, the loss claim, the experience mod, they call it. Okay, so like I said before, the more claims you have, the higher the rate goes, the more money you're going to be paying. The less claims, the lower your rate goes, you'll be paying less money. So you're correct, Edison. Now, whether it's correct for the general contractor to charge the premium for workers' comp at the rate that they have, whether it be a good mod where they have savings, should you also
Save the money.
Save the money as well? Or if their mod is high, should you be penalized and have to pay, the higher rate because their mod is high as well? So you would have to refer back to your lease agreement to see what that states in the contract.
You see, he has everything facing everything. And this is the part that I want you to understand. Lease agreement. The lease agreement is the brains of every operation that you're getting into it. Without that lease agreement, you're going to be in a lot of big trouble. So the idea is this. Let's talk about how this works. If you get your workers' compensation, and this is a question for everybody to know, okay? I want to make sure you understand this. If you get your own workers' compensation, and you go to a trucking company with your own workers' compensation, your legal workers' compensation, is the trucking company allowed to refuse that?
Okay, that's a good question, actually. So if you have a workers' compensation policy and you're including yourself in those benefits, then there's no reason why anybody should reject that proof of coverage. Now, if you're excluding yourself from that policy, then a general contractor may refuse that and not accept it as coverage and want you to go and include yourself in that policy.
Okay, so remember that. The longest you include it in the policy, in the workers' compensation policy, you're going to be fine. So that means if you have a workers' compensation policy and you go to a company and they refuse to support that in the state of New Jersey, let's talk about state of New Jersey. Remember, and I want to be very clear about this, we're talking about the state of New Jersey, no New York, no Pennsylvania, no Delaware, New Jersey, nothing but New Jersey. So every state is different. And we're going to be talking about in the next segment, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about those situations. Right now, we just want to be clear about that. In the state of New Jersey, if you have your workers' compensation and you cover under that workers' compensation that belongs to you, no trucking company has the right to refuse that by law. Am I correct?
Right, it's workers' comp. If you have legitimate statutory workers' compensation, you're included in that policy, then
as
there's
an
no
independent,
reason not to accept it, right?
As an independent driver, you don't have to be excluded. So I want you to make sure, and I'm putting a lot of emphasis into this because the questions are this, if I buy my car, I went to a company, they don't want to accept it because they tell me that I have to take their workers' compensation. It's illegal. If your workers' compensation, okay, am I correct? If the workers' compensation is covering you and you paying a legal workers' compensation policy,
Right.
Nobody has the right to refuse that. So if your trucking company says, no, you must buy this workers' compensation that we offer here, is that legal?
No, I mean, well, they have the right, like I said, if you're excluding yourself from that policy, then they have the right to deny that. Because what happens is, like I said,
But we're
Let's
talking
go
about
back-
if they excluding, but what about if they don't exclude this stuff?
No, if they're included in the policy, there's no reason why anybody should reject that coverage, that as proof of coverage, okay?
Okay, so remember
Now,
that.
The reason why, okay, a general contractor can deny or reject a policy that's showing you as excluded from the policy is because, remember, these policies are audited, they're auditable, okay? So an insurance carrier, at the time of an audit of that general contractor, he can pick up any unreported exposure, or he can pick up the exposure of an individual who's excluding himself from the workers' comp. Because he doesn't have workers' comp. He has one, but he's excluded himself, he'll automatically fall under
His insurance.
his insurance if something happens, correct?
Yes, because he's working, because you lease to that company. That's why you have to do that. So let's go back to this. And this is something that I want you to understand. You guys out there, okay? If you are an employee, if you don't own a truck, okay, you get a W-2 at the end of the year, you don't have to pay for workers' compensation out of your pocket, right?
No, it's the employer's fiduciary responsibility to provide work comp benefits to an employee.
You listen to that? If you are a driver, you don't have to pay for workers' compensation. So I just don't. I know it's a lot of people that are going to say, "Oh, I know that for the years." That's who doesn't know that. We know a lot of people that don't know that. That's why we have in this conversation. So please, forgive me if I'm being a little sarcastic here, but it's because we have a lot of people that don't know about these regulations that we have in this conversation. And this conversation is to save a lot of people a lot of money. We don't want to have drivers coming over here helping, looking for help, because when they come over here looking for help, that costs a lot of thousands of dollars. It's not about $200 or $300. And this is the bad part about these things. All these penalties that you will get from workers' compensation, you can't get rid of it. You can't go in bankruptcy. Am I correct about that?
No,
You
bankruptcy won't protect you when it comes to workers' compensation.
So this is why you have to understand this. You earn these penalties, you keep it, and you have to settle in a way that the state do this. Let me ask you a question: do the state give settles? Do they say, "Okay, give me 5,000, we finish," or do they collect the whole amount of the money until you pay for it?
I'm sorry?
Do they collect the whole amount that you owe for workers' compensation, or they settle with you? How does that work if something happens to anybody get cut and don't have the workers' compensation, doesn't have the proper coverage for their employees?
Okay, so I can read to you, dictate to you right from the law.
Okay, from the law. So we didn't make out this, okay?
So consequences for failure to insure, okay? Consequences for failure to insure or provide workers' compensation coverage can be significant, okay? Even without work-related injury. Specifically, the law provides that failing to insure is a disorderly person's offense, okay? And if determined to be willful, is a crime of the 4th degree, okay? Moreover, penalties for such failure can be assessed for up to $5,000 for the first 10 days, okay? So if you're found to have no workers' comp, they can assess you $5,000 until you provide valid proof of coverage, okay? And they can charge you $5,000 for every 10 additional days thereafter, okay? In the case of a corporation, liability for failure to insure can extend to the corporate officers individually, okay? That's what Edison was referring to a minute ago, when he said, you know, penalties can be assessed for failure to insure and not dischargeable in bankruptcy, okay?
So you see, guys, $5,000 for every 10 days you fail to give workers' compensation insurance to your employees. So if that happens to you, you're already facing this situation and you don't know what to do. Remember that this is why this organization is created, to help people like you that you may need face. Maybe right now you don't understand what we're talking about because, like we say, for years nobody cares about the situation, right? For years, these rules are, you know, this is being in place.
Well, trucking was deregulated back in the days, you know what I mean? A couple of years ago in the Reagan era, trucking, transportation, freight, it was deregulated, okay? And
that's right now.
we are in 2018, regulation is being imposed, so it's time to tidy up, you know, the company, because if not, you'll find yourself with penalties and fines, and if you can't withstand that blow, then you might find yourself out of business.
Remember that, out of business, and with a big penalty behind you, tell. Okay, we're almost running out of time, so we're going to go straight to the last page over here before we go back to Spanish. So if you are speaking Spanish and you want to know what are we saying, we're going to be talking in Spanish in a couple minutes. But before we go to that, we want to finish with this. What is occupational accident insurance? And this is something that I want to tell you, all of you, the people that are so happy that they only pay $30 a week, okay? That you don't have to worry about nothing else because your company is so good because they decide to give you only $30 a week. You don't have to worry about more than that. We are the greatest company because we do that for our drivers. We don't try to rip off anybody. But what are you paying with those $30? That's the question. What are you paying with those $30? And what are they paying? Workers' accidental workers insurance.
Occupational accident, right? So occupational accident is a defined benefit plan. Okay? It's a personal insurance policy. Okay, but it's not a replacement for workers' compensation.
What is the main difference between workers' compensation and accidental insurance that the driver should know right at the top?
What do you mean?
And questions of coverage.
It's a lesser benefit. It's definitely a lesser benefit than workers' compensation. Okay.
Like for instance, if I have a truck accident, okay, God prevents. I drive every day, guys, so it can happen to me too because I'm out there with you guys every day. If I have an accident, suddenly I can't walk anymore. What the accidental insurance will do for me, what the workers' compensation will do for me.
Okay, so as I stated, it's a defined occupational accident is a defined benefit plan based on the limits that you choose. Okay, so you can choose to have $250,000 limits, $500,000 limits, $1 million limits. Okay, but there is a cap off. Okay, so referring back to what Edison was speaking about on the disability end, on a workers' comp policy, you can become temporarily disabled or permanently disabled and be covered by that policy, okay? With an occupational policy, there's gonna be limits. So you'll be protected for whatever the policy states or defines at that point. So you could have, I've seen policies that give you 1 year disability max term, 2 years disability max term, and the payout on the lost wages is also, is a lesser benefit. So that's the difference, and like I said, workers' comp is required by law. Occupational is not a substitute or a replacement for it.
So, like I say, guys, you got to understand something. Workers' compensation, okay, for you guys that are out there, you got to understand workers' compensation, okay, cannot be replaced by accidental insurance in any way. So if you paying $30, $35, $40, whatever amount that you pay, they settle. Okay, remember you're getting accidental insurance. So we have a part 3 about this situation because this is a different topic. Why are they allowed in New Jersey? Who cannot do it? If it's legal in New Jersey, that's a different section. So that's going to be in part 2. But right now, what I want you to understand is this. We want to make sure that you understand. I want to bring just the quick topics. So before we translate to Spanish. Workers' compensation is something that now is going to be enforced. If you own 3 trucks, 2 trucks, 1 extra truck, you need to have workers' compensation. Maybe you can exempt yourself, but you have to have it for your driver. If you think that you're driving for a trucking company that's providing workers' compensation for you and working compensation for your driver, so you're already okay, you're not okay. If you are a corporation and your corporation is getting paid for the 2 of you or the 3 of you, okay, and you are making the settlement at the end of the week with that driver, and you giving that driver a 1099 at the end of the year, you're going to be facing a lot of penalties, okay? It's 18.77 of the gross of whatever that driver make that year that you're going to end up paying at the end of the year if you get an audit from the state of New Jersey. So remember that right now because this is something that's going to happen in a couple of weeks. Like I say, I already received my letter stating that I have, if I'm excluding myself from having this workers' compensation because I didn't fill it up the application properly. I didn't fill out the incorporation papers properly. So if I make that mistake, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you make that mistake. And that mistake cost me $100, okay? So if you have that letter and you receive a letter saying that you have to pay $3,000, $6,000 and you never have a truck and you know what it's all about and you worry about it, come over here, we can help you. Henry's over here, right? We can read over here. And we also, for the people that are speaking in English, in our second part of this, we're going to be talking about how to check if you have workers' compensation in your company. And that's something that I want you to say. Like I said, we don't have time to take all that thing because the book is about this big. And we have only 1 hour to do this in English and in Spanish. And talking about Spanish, vamos a ver mi gente latina. Aquí viene lo bueno. Por muchos años, ¿ok? Para todos ustedes que han estado siguiéndome por años y hemos tenido reuniones aquí, si me das un segundo, hemos tenido reuniones. La pregunta que todos ustedes tienen, ¿ok? ¿Es legal que me cobren un porcentaje de todo el gross de mi cheque? ¿Es legal que la compañía simplemente saque eso porque ellos les da la gana? Y la realidad del caso es que en este momento nosotros vamos a explicarle la legalidad, las razones y qué puede hacer usted para protegerse. Primero que nada, conmigo otra vez vuelvo a repetir en español, Henry Paredes, ¿ok? Hijo de camionero, camionero él mismo, trabajó en la industria de transporte por muchos años. Hace años atrás decidió cambiar su profesión de transportista por una profesión de vendedor de Workers Insurance con una compañía que no solamente vende ese seguro, sino también de camiones. Y está aquí para ayudarnos a descifrar algunas de estas preguntas porque él entiende que nosotros los compañeros latinos tenemos muchas faltas, mucho desconocimiento en lo que se respecta a cómo funciona el Workers' Compensation y cuál es la diferencia del famoso Accidental Insurance. Ok, yo sé que muchos de ustedes están contentos porque reciben un cheque menos $30 o 40 o 45 semanal, que es lo que les están diciendo que les deducen de Workers' Compensation. Y esta noche nosotros vamos a ver qué es la realidad de eso. Este va a ser un programa que está dividido en 3 partes. Parte 1 es hoy día donde que vamos a especificar qué es el Workers' Compensation, qué es el Accidental Insurance, cómo funciona, cómo determina la fórmula para saber cómo se saca el porcentaje que usted va a pagar y por qué paga. Así que con ustedes les vamos a empezar con Henry, una vez más en español, para los que no pudieron entender en inglés. Vamos a hablar acerca de qué es una Workers' Compensation Policy, Henry.
Okay. Primeramente, gracias por tenernos acá de nuevo. Está un placer. Mi nombre es Henry Paredes. Estamos acá para platicar un poquito sobre los temas de la industria y cómo están relacionados a nosotros, cómo nos afecta. Estamos hablando de la cobertura de laborales, ¿okay? Y la diferencia con lo que es el occupational accident, ¿okay? También vamos a estar referenciando temas sobre el Departamento de Labor y también referenciando temas del Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, de la Seguridad Federal, ¿verdad? Diciendo todo esto, vamos a empezar, ¿verdad, Edison?
Exactamente. Y para todos los que me están viendo, estamos tratando de descifrar algunos mensajes que nos están mandando. Y yo sé que hubo una persona que me dijo, quiero comprarme mi camión, me conviene comprarme. Yo siempre voy a decir que usted tiene el derecho a comprarse su camión. Es la mejor inversión que usted va a hacer, siempre y cuando usted aprenda cómo manejar su dinero. Así que por favor, señores, nosotros estamos dando seminarios gratuitos aquí para hablar acerca de Workers' Compensation. Lo que vamos a dar es una información básica. Ustedes necesitan más información, pueden venir acá, nosotros vamos a tener talleres y podemos seguir así. Así que vamos a seguir que, ¿quién es el que determina el costo de la policy de Workers' Compensation?
Bueno, vamos primeramente a decir qué es Workers' Compensation.
Ok, vamos con eso.
¿Qué es una póliza de laborales, verdad? Vamos a empezar con decir que es un requisito de la ley, primeramente. Es una póliza que está impuesto para proteger a los empleados, a los contratistas y al empresario a la vez, para servicios médicos, pérdida de trabajo, pérdida de cobro por no poder trabajar, y también le está proveyendo protección al empresario en la manera de que le puede caer alguna demanda o algo al tener empleados y no estar con cobertura. ¿Okay? ¿Cómo se basa o cómo determinan cuánto cobran por esa póliza? Hay tres puntos que factoran en determinar cuánto vale esa póliza. Y es lo que usted está ganando, ¿okay? Los ingresos, la descripción de los deberes que está cumpliendo diariamente, right? El trabajo que hace, y el módulo de experiencia, cuántas pérdidas ha tenido durante su término de póliza. Esos tres factores, esos tres puntos tienen que ver con cómo determinar cómo le van a cobrar el costo de esa póliza anualmente.
Ok, antes de seguir, quiero mandarle a todas las personas que nos están mandando saludos. Janet, un saludo a ti también, gracias.
Saludos.
Janet, para las personas que no saben, está trabajando con nosotros. Para todas las personas que tienen problemas de tickets, que han salido libres y quieren limpiar su PSP report, Janet nos está ayudando con esas cosas. O si usted tiene algún problema, puede venir acá para chequear si tiene algún problema con su PSP report, que no puede conseguir trabajo. Nosotros vamos a estar trabajando con eso también. Anyway, regresando a estas cosas. Who determines the rate? ¿Quién determina el rate? Okay. Todo eso está ya establecido. Sabemos que está determinado por un estimado payroll, la clase de descripción y la experiencia o las pérdidas que haya tenido la compañía.
Right.
Okay.
¿Y quién determina el rate de cada clasificación? Es el Estado. El Estado tiene una sección, una parte donde tiene para determinar cuánto le va a cobrar por cada deber diferente de trabajo, ¿verdad?
Ok. Yo quiero hacer este mensaje es para todos los camioneros que tienen más de 2 camiones, específicamente para ustedes. Si usted tiene más de 2 camiones, si usted maneja uno y tiene un chofer, o tiene 2 o 3 choferes que trabajan para una compañía, este mensaje es para usted. La razón que estamos haciendo este programa es porque el estado de New Jersey decidió poner una comisión específica para tratar de chequear a todas las compañías que están pagando a los choferes con 1099 para saber si ese chofer está prácticamente clasificado correctamente. Basado en eso, vamos a seguir conversando con estos sectores. ¿Quiénes son las personas, que necesitan tener Workers' Compensation, Henry?
Bueno, las personas que deben de tener son todos aquellos individuales que están trabajando como un individual, como un sole proprietor, ¿verdad? Los miembros de una LLC, los asociados de una asociación, y los oficiales de una corporación. En el estado de New Jersey, todos por ley deben de mantener una cobertura de Workers' Compensation con el estado o ser aprobado para cobertura privada, right? Pero tiene que ser aprobado por el estado, siempre y cuando va a tener empleados por debajo quienes está serviciando y usted le está aportando un sueldo, ¿ok?
Y para todas las personas que están ahí, que yo conozco a mi gente latina, que siempre pregunta de dónde estamos sacando esta información, si ustedes ven estas páginas, ¿ok? Henry se tomó la molestia de asegurarse de que todo lo que nosotros estemos hablando aquí pueda ser confirmado en cualquier parte legalmente. Nosotros no estamos tratando de inventarnos ninguna cosa, no estamos añadiéndole ninguna cosa, nosotros simplemente le estamos dejando saber a usted cómo funciona Workers' Compensation, quiénes son las personas que necesitan tener Workers' Compensation, quiénes son las que se pueden excluir de Workers' Compensation y quiénes se pueden mantener trabajando bajo el Workers' Compensation. Vamos a seguir con esto, Henry. Los camioneros operators, basados en la estructura de una clase C o S. Esa es una parte que quiero que les expliques a los muchachos específicamente, porque ellos no saben, no entienden qué es una clase C o S. Yo mismo no entiendo a veces. Por mucho tiempo no entendí.
Vamos a volver al tema, primeramente, quién tiene que tener Workers' Comp y los derechos que tienen sobre eso, ¿ok? Los individuales y los miembros y los asociados tienen el derecho de excluirse bajo la póliza de una Workers' Comp, ¿ok? Rechazar los beneficios en ese momento. Quiere decir que no le van a aportar beneficios de disability o beneficios médicos en ese momento. Los oficiales de una corporación no tienen ese derecho, no les permiten en el estado de New Jersey. Obligado tienen que incluirse en esa cobertura. Esa es la diferencia entre quién puede incluirse y quién puede excluirse sobre una póliza de Workers' Comp. Pero muy importante que sepan, para poder excluirse de algo, primero tiene que existir. So, al proveer obligado, tienen que aportar la póliza de Workers' Comp de laborales, ¿verdad? Con el Estado. El derecho es excluirse de los beneficios de esa póliza y ese derecho se lo extienden nada más al dueño de la compañía, por decir, el individual, el sole proprietor, el miembro del Limited Liability Company, de la LLC, o el asociado de una LLP, okay, Limited Liability Partnership. Pero cuando viene a ser una corporación, muchas veces los muchachos no se dan de cuenta, tienen un camión, ellos mismos están actuando como el empleado de ese negocio, son el empresario y son el empleado a la misma vez. Y al formar una corporación, no califican para rechazar esos beneficios de una Work Comp Policy. Obligado tienen que incluirse en esa póliza. ¿Okay?
So, bien, es muy importante. Por eso es que nosotros, primero que nada, quiero volver a repetir esto. Nosotros estamos dando talleres gratuitos para que ustedes aprendan y puedan mantenerse aquí. Segundo, ¿ok? Nosotros queremos que todos ustedes se eduquen porque la ley del estado de New Jersey ha creado una comitiva específicamente para comenzar a chequear todas estas cosas y enforzarlas. Las multas, ¿okay? Vamos a llegar a esto dentro de poco, van a ser excesivas y no se pueden ir a la bancarrota. Eso significa que si usted dice, bueno, si me coge a mí, siempre cierro la compañía, me voy a la bancarrota y ya, lamentablemente la ley de Workers' Compensation establece que usted se queda con esa deuda de por vida. So, eso es una cosa muy importante. Por eso es que nosotros estamos poniendo un énfasis muy fuerte en esto. ¿Por qué? Porque nosotros estamos ya viendo que hay casos de personas. Yo personalmente ya recibí mi carta donde que me establecía que estaba haciendo yo un LLC, estaba mal incorporado y por haber incorporado la corporación, los papeles de la corporación mal, ya me costó a mí una cantidad de dinero. So, regresando a lo que estamos hablando ahorita mismo. Ok, números, todo es números en este país. Ok, yo quiero que ustedes entiendan que la situación de Workers' Compensation que todos hemos tenido por años, y esto lo digo yo llevo desde el año 2001, estamos nosotros tratando de responder a esta respuesta. Es legal. Ya estamos viendo que sí es legal. En el estado de New Jersey, acuérdense una cosa, todo lo que nosotros estamos hablando es del estado de New Jersey. Quiero poner énfasis en eso. Esto no es una ley de New York, esto no es una ley de Pensilvania. Nosotros vivimos en el estado de New Jersey, por lo tanto, yo estoy con Henry hablando de las leyes que se están enforzando en el estado de New Jersey. So, si usted vive en Connecticut, si usted vive en Pensilvania o viene de Virginia, esto no aplica a usted. Sus leyes son diferentes y tiene que ver una persona que sepa de esas leyes. Incluso con Henry puede hablar con ellos más adelante. Vamos a poner la información de él para que puedan contactarse y ver qué aplican en su estado. Pero por hoy día estamos hablando en el estado de New Jersey.
Claro, porque qué pasa es que en la cobertura de laborales es basado por estado individual. Las regulaciones, cada estado establece su propia regulación. Okay, so si tienen algunas inquietudes o algunas preguntas, si están fuera del estado de New Jersey, pueden poner su pregunta en Facebook y pueden después identificar de qué estado se están refiriendo. Nosotros investigamos y le ponemos una respuesta acuerdamente.
Ok, vamos a seguir con esto. Hay una palabra que quiero que entiendan. En inglés se dice exclusion y exempt. Excluidos y exentos. Usted se puede excluir. ¿Estamos correctos de eso, Henry?
Correcto.
Pero no se puede exemptar.
Donde califican. So, recuerda, solo de los 4 que platicamos, solo 3 de los 4 tienen el derecho de excluirse.
3 de 4.
El individual, el miembro de una LLC y el asociado de una LLP. Los oficiales, otra vez, muy importante que sepan, obligado tienen que incluirse en esos beneficios de esa póliza. Obligado. Ok,
aquí viene la palabra que hemos estado tratando de decir en inglés, lo vamos a decir en español. Si usted quiere saber exactamente cómo funciona, cuál es la fórmula para sacar su dinero, ¿ok? Nosotros le vamos a decir hoy día cómo es la fórmula para que usted pueda saber. Henry tiene aquí en estos papeles un example o un ejemplo de cómo usted puede determinar, tal vez la fórmula real de si usted está haciendo correctamente o está pagando correctamente el Workers' Compensation. El Workers' Compensation del estado de New Jersey es 18.77%. ¿Es más correcto?
Son $18.77 por cada 100 que está generando. Ahora,
Vamos, explícales ahí.
Es importante regresar un poquito, que vamos a echar para atrás un poquito, ¿verdad?
Exactamente.
Tú estabas hablando sobre el costo, cuánto vale, ¿verdad? Cómo se puede determinar. Y estabas platicando si es legal que le deducen los contratistas en general a los contratistas independientes la cobertura de Workers' Comp semanal.
Exacto.
Ok. Y la respuesta es muy simple. Si estás actuando como un contratista independiente o le estás proveyendo prueba de tener tu propia cobertura con el Estado de Workers' Comp al contratista en general, o si no, el contratista en general te lo está aportando esa cobertura al utilizar sus servicios y usted estar sin seguro propio. En ese momento, él tiene el derecho de cobrarle a usted por el riesgo adicional que le está cayendo a la póliza de él. ¿Ok? El rate que le está cobrando, la cantidad que le está cobrando, ¿verdad? Es determinado no por él, es determinado por el Estado. ¿Ok? El Estado es quien impone cuánto vale la cobertura para cada diferente clasificación de deber que puede haber. ¿Ok? So, básicamente, en el estado de New Jersey, el rate es 18.77, right? $18.77 por cada 100. Ahora, para un independiente, el estado sabe de que ustedes no están, reciben un ingreso en bruto, pero ese dinero, esa cantidad no va para el bolsillo tuyo en completo, ¿verdad? Tienes gastos para operar, hay gastos para vivir. So, ellos lo dividen en la tercera parte. Ellos dicen, bueno, de la cantidad que cobraste en bruto, la tercera parte es ganancia y a esa cantidad le vamos a cobrar $18.77 por cada 100.
Okay. So, la tercera parte viene siendo el 33%.
Sí, la tercera parte, podemos poner un ejemplo, ¿ok? El ejemplo que me gusta dar es muy fácil. Vamos a suponer que ustedes están recibiendo un cobro esta semana de $3,000, ¿ok? Y la compañía les está deduciendo semanalmente. ¿Cómo saber qué cantidad ellos tienen derecho a deducirle? ¿Ok? Como les digo, es la tercera parte del ingreso. So, al cobrar $3,000, parten a la tercera parte el 33% y viene siendo $1,000, ¿ok? A esos $1,000 lo van a dividir por 100, porque es por cada 100 que le están cobrando. Al dividir los $1,000 por los 100, le da la suma de 10, right? Y ese 10 es que va a multiplicar por el 18.77, que le va a dejar una cantidad de 187,70 centavos, y esa es la cantidad que están con derecho a deducirle para esa cantidad de ingreso para esa semana.
Okay. So, vamos a hacer una fórmula. Miren esto. Vamos a ver. Mi asistente de cámaras, ¿me puede decir si se ve bien? Ok. Usted quiere saber la fórmula. Básicamente esto es. El gross que usted gana, multiplíquelo por el 33%. Lo que salga de esa multiplicación lo divide por 100. Lo que salga de esa división lo multiplica por 18.77. Y esa es la cantidad correcta que usted tiene que pagar al estado de New Jersey por el Workers' Compensation. Una vez más, la cantidad del gross, ¿ok? Multiplicada por el 33%. Lo que salga de esa división, que va a ser esta incógnita, divídalo por 100. La división que salga de eso, que viene siendo esta incógnita, multiplíquelo por 18.77. Esta es la fórmula que usted sabe. Usted quiere tomarle un selfie, quiere tomarse un snapshot, quiere anotarlo. Esta es la fórmula. So, cuando usted quiera saber qué es legal lo que le tiene que sacar de Workers' Compensation, esta es su fórmula. So, no me pregunten a nosotros cuál es la fórmula, si es legal. Estamos dándole la fórmula aquí. Esta es la forma correcta, cómo saber cómo quitar el Workers' Compensation. So if you're speaking in English, this is the formula that you need to know how to get the perfect amount of Workers' Compensation deducted from your paycheck every week. So everybody else has any questions, ya saben, pueden dejarlas ahí en nuestra conversación que estamos teniendo a través de Facebook ahí. La segunda cosa que vamos a hablar, o que estamos hablando, para no salirnos del tema que estamos ya casi a punto de salir, ¿ok? Esta es la fórmula, y lo que vamos a ir directamente es, ¿qué es un Occupational Accidental Insurance? Nosotros tenemos tres partes. Si usted tiene preguntas, quiere hacer alguna cosa, puede venir a los talleres. Si no, puede seguir ahí. La segunda parte va a ser en 2 semanas. La próxima semana vamos a tener el abogado de la organización que va a estar hablando con nosotros acerca de los nuevos problemas que están existiendo y cómo vamos a estar trabajando para las personas que estén interesadas en ser miembros de nuestra organización. Pero regresando al punto, ¿qué es Occupational Accidental Insurance? Y esto lo estoy hablando para que todas las personas, ¿ok?, que están a ustedes viéndose ahí, que dicen, oh, lo que pasa es que mi compañía son tan buenos que solo me quitan 30, 40, 50 dólares. So, ellos no me quitan el porcentaje. Si usted está pagando un fijo, usted tiene Accidental Insurance. Si usted tiene Accidental Insurance, ahora va a saber la diferencia entre Workers' Compensation y qué es lo que está en realidad que esté cubierto. Y no lo voy a decir yo, lo va a decir una persona que está haciendo, que es Hendra. So, explícales a ellos qué es el Accidental Occupational Insurance.
So, el Occupational Accident Insurance es una cobertura definida, es un plan de seguro definido por los beneficios y los límites que usted escoge. Es una póliza privada, ¿ok? Pero es muy importante saber que esa póliza no es un reemplazo para Workers' Compensation. La ley exige que cada individual o cada propietario, ¿verdad?, individual, cada miembro, cada LLC, asociación corporativa, tiene que mantener una póliza de laborales. Y más cuando es exigido cuando tiene empleados por debajo, quien le está proveyendo, aportando un servicio y quien está cobrando un sueldo de usted, ¿no?, de su compañía. Ahora, la diferencia es que es un beneficio menos a lo que le aporta el Estado, ¿ok? Como le digo, son beneficios definidos. So, usted está escogiendo si le van a dar una cobertura de $250,000, una cobertura de $500,000 o de $1 millón, pero siempre tiene una capa. Entonces, la de Workers' Comp es muy diferente, le protege hasta donde el Estado le permite, ¿no? Como le digo, es regulado individualmente, estado por estado. So, si tienen preguntas otra vez, si son de otro estado que no sea New Jersey, bien puede poner su pregunta, referencia a qué estado está comunicándose y nosotros le investigamos esa información.
Y como les vuelvo a repetir, para todas las personas que nos están siguiendo, nosotros vamos a tener todos los miércoles esta clase de programas. Por muchos años nosotros hemos venido hablando con todos ustedes acerca de estas cosas en forma unilateral, en forma independiente. Y debido a las nuevas problemáticas que la industria nos está poniendo a nosotros como camioneros independientes, nosotros aquí en la asociación pensamos que la mejor forma de poder ayudarlos a ustedes es educándolos. Sabemos que muchos de ustedes todavía tienen muchas dudas y que no van a tener el tiempo de venir acá. Pero les queremos dejar saber que si usted no se pone en este momento, especialmente, este es un mensaje especial para las personas que tienen más de un camión. Si usted tiene más de un camión y usted no tiene su propio Workers' Compensation y usted tiene 2 choferes trabajando sus camiones, a pesar de que usted está trabajando bajo la umbrella de otra compañía, la ley establece que usted necesita tener su propio Workers' Compensation. La multa es de $5,000 y no le estamos hablando ni Henry ni yo, nosotros estamos hablando lo que le establece la ley, donde que nosotros especificamos claramente, ¿ok?, que la multa es de $5,000 por cada 10 días que usted no traiga su Workers' Compensation. Si usted tiene un empleado al cual usted le pagó un 1099 y el Estado se entera de que usted le pagó un 1099 sin ser él una persona, sabiendo que él es una persona empleada y no un contratista, usted puede recibir un 18.77% de penalidad de lo que usted le haya pagado en el 1099 al ese chofer. Nosotros no estamos tratando de intimidarlo, no estamos tratando de ponerles miedo, nosotros simplemente les estamos avisando para que tomen las precauciones debidas, asistiendo a nuestra organización, para que puedan ponerse en contacto con Henry, con nosotros, para asesorarles de una manera correcta y eviten caer en estos problemas legales, a los cuales nosotros vamos a tener un abogado, los que ustedes van a conocer la semana siguiente, y van a ver que estos casos se van a presentar más seguido. Así que con esto nosotros queremos hablarles de que vamos a seguir en esto, porque esto no es solamente esto. La próxima semana vamos a hablar si es legal que el Occupational Accidental Insurance sea en el estado de New Jersey usado. Y si no es legal, ¿por qué lo están usando? Son cosas que nosotros vamos a estar hablando junto con Henry, que quiero pedirle muchísimas gracias, Henry, por estar aquí, tomar esta noche para ayudar a nuestra comunidad camionera.
Gracias por la invitación.
Yo sé que tú, como mucha gente, tu papá es camionero, tú estuviste en la industria, sabes que hay mucho abuso contra nuestra gente camionera por la falta de conocimiento, la falta de una organización como la que tenemos aquí hoy en día.
Right.
Que no nos deja que a nosotros salir adelante y que debido a que no hay un planeamiento correcto, nosotros siempre estamos estipulando que la industria de transporte no sirve. La industria portuaria es una de las industrias más ricas del mundo. Nos ha proveído con dinero todos los días, pero nosotros simplemente no sabemos cómo manejar y administrar nuestros negocios. Y al no tener ese conocimiento hace que muchos de nosotros fracasemos. ¿Estamos en eso correcto, Henry?
¿Qué pasa? Como yo lo veo, de la experiencia que yo tengo en la industria, es que yo veo que nosotros somos gente que venimos bastantemente de otras tierras y no tenemos, para querer superarnos, claro, right? Un mejor futuro para nuestras familias, right? Nosotros, right? Sí mismo. Pero no estamos al tanto de las leyes y las regulaciones de esta tierra. Y venimos aquí a crear negocios y cosas para superarnos, pero si no estamos operando bajo la complacencia de las regulaciones de ese estado donde estás ubicado, entonces puedes caer con multas y penalidades y encontrarte fuera de negocio antes de poder llegar a un éxito. Estamos tratando nada más de aportarle un servicio, un conocimiento, ¿verdad?, sobre lo que lleva la industria, cómo se relaciona y qué es necesario para ponerse complaciendo para evitar esas multas y tener problemas en el futuro. Están bienvenidos a comunicarnos. Nosotros tenemos oficinas en Newark, New Jersey. La compañía con quien estoy afiliada se llama Navicent Risk Services. Estamos asociados también ahora con Port Driver Association. Eres un amigo. Estamos por hacer más programa informativo para ustedes y platicar más sobre los temas que nos afectan en la industria.
Exactamente, señores. Yo les pido a todos ustedes que si usted tiene un amigo que no conoce de esta página de Port Driver, si usted sabe que por alguna A o B razón muchas personas, yo entiendo que no están involucradas con la página de Port Driver porque está en Facebook. Esas personas tienen el acceso de poder venir a esta organización, hacerse miembros, al mismo tiempo pedir que les llamen cuando los talleres estén abiertos para inscribirse. Son completamente gratuitos. Si usted quiere saber, pero ¿y cuál es lo que nos cuesta para hacernos miembros de la organización? Es completamente gratuito. Nosotros queremos apoyarlos, señores. Nosotros necesitamos organizarnos. Si nosotros no nos organizamos de una manera correcta, nosotros somos los que vamos a estar en desventaja. Lamentablemente hay un montón de leyes que están tratando de que nos hagan desaparecer del mapa para que ya nosotros no existamos. Y si nosotros no nos juntamos de una manera organizada con personas que tengan el conocimiento para representarnos legalmente de una manera correcta.
Y accesos a programas que le pueden ayudar con alternativas opciones, donde ustedes pueden, ponerse complaciendo y estar protegidos a un costo más eficiente. Nosotros, como le digo, somos asegurantes, Estamos proveyendo toda cobertura para los individuales, workers' comp, de laborales, occupational igual. También estamos ofreciendo también cobertura para los equipajes y para las compañías, de todo. Bobtail, Fish Dam, Cargo, todito. Vengan a visitarnos, están más que bienvenidos.
Así que ya saben, señores, nosotros necesitamos organizarnos. La organización no es solamente juntarnos en una esquina a hacer una demostración. La organización tiene que ser de una manera consolidada, llegando a talleres, entendiendo la industria, y mientras nosotros podamos mantener esta organización moviéndose, vamos a seguir trayendo estos eventos así en Facebook, en vivo, para que todos los miércoles a las 8 de la noche usted se entere de alguna clase de tópico que le va a afectar de alguna manera. Por favor, señores, espero que apoyen esta organización, se hagan miembros de esta organización, para que nosotros como grupo podamos mantenernos ahí. Así que una vez más, Henry, nos vemos en 2 semanas.
Está bien, muchas gracias.
2 semanas, señores, para seguir hablando con Henry. Si usted tiene preguntas,
saludos a todos, gracias por su
gracias
tiempo.
a ustedes y nos vemos en 2 semanas. Señora de cámaras.